So there's two guys sitting at a bar, right? And they're having a conversation about football. The music is really loud, so they have to shout at each other. One guy asks, "Hey, when did the season start?" The other guy goes, "Huh?" The other guy repeats. He says, "When did the season start?" Right at that second, when he asked for the second time, a guy randomly walks into the bar. So when the friend finally hears a question, he says, "Oh, it's week 1. The guy who just walked into the bar said, "Hey, I'm not the weak one. You are." Oh, it's your fantasy recap. Full of papers, full of bad jokes. Week 1, for some of you, is the biggest week of the season. Now, why is that? Week 1 is the biggest week of the season for some of you because you end up being so proud about the draft that you just did that it nearly erases. It erases all the mistakes that you made and that you will find out later in the season just how bad those mistakes were. But since you won week 1, it's all justified. And that fucking wide receiver that you picked way too early that you could have gotten 2 rounds before you don't even see it anymore because he got 12 points. Well, congratulations. Week 1, of course, means everything to all of you. Listen, and I'm not just hating because I lost. Maybe I am, just a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through a little bit of fantasy history. And I'm going to exclude 2 teams when I do this. And I'm not just doing this because I don't fucking like either of these guys. Paul and Edwin. Edwin, obviously, because he came back last season. And Paul joined this league in 2013. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you off from 2010 to 2016, all of our week 1 records. Okay? So the very first, I'm going to go from worst to best. So the 2 teams that are tied for the worst opening week records are Andy and J-Ray. Of course, there's no surprise when it comes to like record lows. Andy is no stranger to it. If you're expecting record lows, Andy's like the Pele of fucking bad records. Like, it's so bad for Andy that, you know, he's on the rafters for fucking terrible records. I'm sure if I fucking spent like 10 more minutes digging into shit, I could find more stuff. So J-Ray and Andy are tied with a record of 1-6. Then next up, we have me and Joe with whopping records of 3-4. Now, I just shat on Andy, but me and Andy both have the longest active opening week losing streaks with 4. Yes, count them, 4. So that's why this shit really doesn't fucking mean anything to me. Why? Because I fucking make the finals every goddamn season. Made me drop my paper. Okay, so 3-4 are me and Joe, and the next pair, and this will really let you know that week 1s really don't mean anything, are Eric and Hensel with winning records of 4-3 apiece. So you take that for what it's worth. You see all you guys that are fucking jumping up and down and getting all excited. Just think about that. Okay? Everybody wants to like think about Harambe. Think about Eric and think about Hensel when you think about, oh, I'm 1-0. Now, the best 2 teams at the top of this fucking week 1 fucking mountain are Orlando and Pedro with records of 5-2. Now, I guess the commission's the only person within those 4 winning records that you could say, well, at least, you know, he's won a championship within the last 4 or 5 years, but, you know, fucking 1 out of 4, you know, it's pretty shitty. So it doesn't indicate anything. The only thing that it indicates is, as I stated, is you guys look like geniuses after the fact, I guess, right? Before I get into the week 1 scenarios, I mean, and there's really nothing much to say because it is week 1. I believe last season I started doing this at week 4. There was more meat on the bone, and there will be more meat on the bone, I guess, as the season progresses and as your decisions will look fucking bleaker and bleaker. We're going to get into a bit of fantasy history here. And this week, 2011, Eric defeated Hensel by a final score of 134-75. Brady scored 34 points. Wes Welker scored 28 points. That's a combined point total of 62 fucking points. Now, Hensel only scored 75. I'd say that's a fucking blowout. That's raping somebody, I guess. This has been this week in fantasy history. We're also proud of Eric, and he once again made his way to another losing season. Eric, we're all proud of you. This bud's for you. The number one team this week, I shouldn't even say that. Look. I'll give you guys a quote. I'm giving you guys gems here. I'm going to give you a quote by the late great Joan Rivers. Why I have Joan Rivers quotes in my head, I have no clue. Joan Rivers once said, "I succeeded by saying what everyone else was thinking." And I'm going to say what everybody else is thinking. And that is that Ed's a great guy. Ed's so fucking cool. Ed, all those pictures that you're posting is just making you cooler and cooler by the second. So please continue to do it. Ed is the number one team so far, I guess, statistically, because, we're going with points and everything. He scored 127 points. He got bloated performances by his quarterback, Drew Brees, which I don't think Drew Brees is going to put up 30 all that often. A.J. Green was able to take advantage of the Jets defense with 24, and he got 28 points by D'Angelo Williams. Now, if this was another team, let's say Joe or Hensel, that had D'Angelo Williams, I would say that it's not going to matter. But at the very least, you got to give Ed some credit and say that D'Angelo Williams is going to help him get some W's. And, by week 4, when D'Angelo Williams fucking his value just goes fucking bye-bye. And when Ryan Matthews gets hurt, I guess Ed will be able to make those changes, but at least now he's going to get him a few victories up front because it seems like that Pittsburgh defense is really clicking. Orlando gets fucking zero production out of his tight end, out of his kicker, out of his defense, and he got his fucking ass kicked. So we move on to the weakest team of the week, and he is of Orlando's bloodline. They're in the same league with each other. They share the same genes. They're both losers this week, and that's the Cup. The Cup got an anemic performance by his whole team. He got 3 points from Adrian Peterson. He got 6 points from Jonathan Stewart, 9 points. 9 points from Jeremy Hill, 7 points from Allen Robinson. Julian Edelman gave him 7. Jesse James, I have no fucking, who the fuck is Jesse James? Is he a fucking cowboy? We got fucking bank robbers in the NFL. Jesse James gets 3 points. Giants defense gets a 0. And at least he got 10 points from his kicker. Joe, on the flip side of this whole theory that I just used with Ed and the whole, week 4 when Le'Veon Bell comes in and Tom Brady comes back in, Joe might fucking suffocate by week 5. He might be fucking suffocated. This could quite happen. And I don't know if there's any truth to the law of attraction. I don't know if words really make things real. But having a logo of Jim Mora saying playoffs for probably like the last fucking 3 years, which I haven't looked into the papers, but I'm pretty sure, Joe's probably hasn't made the playoffs in like the last 2 to 3 years, I would guess. But Joe's record last year at about week 5 was 2-2. So I guess for Joe, that's good. But in order for Joe to survive, I think, he would need to go at least 3-1, and then Brady comes in there because Joe's going to fall asleep at the wheel. And yes, Hensel beat me. Hensel beat me this week by a final score of 113-94. I, didn't get anything out of Thomas Rawls, Demetrius Thomas. I like the fact that Demetrius Thomas got some looks. I mean, he only got 4 catches, but he had gotten some looks early on, and he got 48 yards. So I'm feeling a little more confident about him than I was before. Honestly, I thought he was going to be fucking a fantasy dud. But if he would have gotten a simple little fucking touchdown there, he would have got like 7 points. It would have, been a bloated performance, but it still would have been a little bit more points. Hensel got a great fucking performance out of Dan Bailey, who got 17 points and 35 points from Andrew Luck, who's actually capable of doing that on a pretty constant basis. I don't believe in Carlos Hyde and his 20 points. I guess he got 23 rushing attempts and he got 88 yards. So I guess he made the rest in the air. I don't believe in that, but nonetheless, Hensel wins as Hensel normally does to open up the season with a record of 4-3 over the past six seasons. So yeah, pretty much. And Eric, who by the way has the best name I think in fantasy, Ewok Rape, with the logo of the Ewok with Bite the Pillow, I'm going in dry. And speaking of names, again, what the fuck is it with some of your names? Okay, J. Ray has Hell's Kitchen, Baba Yaga, and like he capitalizes the B-A and the Y-A. Like, this just reeks of like daddy shit. Can you guys fucking look, most of you guys in this league are dads. Okay, we get it. Right? You're fucking dads. I feel like J. Ray has like subliminal shit, like little winks that he fucking has, like to his kid, and it's sickening because fantasy is sacred. It's sacred. Right, these faggots are gonna make me drop my papers again. Andy, of course, loses, which Andy has a talent for. Week 1, once again, is just one of the most important weeks of the season. It is that one right next to that 8, week 9, when you're shrugging your shoulders and you don't fucking know what happened this season. How could this have been? It is that important confidence booster after you picked that wide receiver just a little too early in the draft, but now it's justified because he got a late game touchdown. But you know what it's all about. Okay, so we move forward to week 2, where the matchups are Dro against me, Andy against Edwin, Joe against Jason, Paul against Hensel, and Eric versus Orlando. I'm not even gonna waste time and predict these things anymore because it was just a waste. Look, I'm never gonna pick against myself, so that automatically takes one fucking game out of the equation, and I'm not gonna do this if I'm just predicting 4 games. It's just pointless and it's stupid and nobody gives a shit. The only thing that I will do is wish nothing but the worst upon all of your players. May all of your players mysteriously get injured before they get out of the locker room. May your quarterbacks develop turf toe. May your running backs pull their calf muscles, and may your receivers get locked up for marijuana possession. Go fuck yourselves.